Come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm not giving up on this shit.
To headline the 39th episode.
Am I going? Fuck. Fuck. Okay. I need to look on the other end here. Okay. I'm going, I guess. God, I'm just having the worst of luck today. Oh well. I'm just gonna keep fucking going. Fuck it.
Mundane Matt on the 40th. I mentioned these individuals in particular because they will play crucial roles in Andy's story as it approaches its end. Warski Live began to appear on Andy Warski's channel about as frequently as his regularly produced content. That one successful content formula, however, was no longer producing the results that it once had. Viewership was dipping noticeably, but some controversy was on the horizon for Andy Warski to capitalize on, starting with one particularly controversial guest on Warski's live show. On May 26, 2017, a creator by the name of Rage After Storm appeared.
Yeah, Rage After Storm is an interesting character that literally just left the internet entirely, and I have no idea what happened to her. Just poof. And there's a very good reason for this.
Appeared on Warski Live for its 36th episode, in which a myriad of issues were discussed, most notably the rising tensions surrounding immigration in Europe. As with many of Andy's guests, Rage was invited into the community, if you will, with open arms. Warski's channel served as a central hub of specifically politically aligned individuals, many of whom shared similar origins. Once liberal individuals who had become alienated by the shifting Overton window and who had found solace in denouncing their previous political positions. Rage After Storm was no different. There were some who raised an eyebrow at her content. Forgive me for inserting myself into the story, but I was one of those apprehensive few. Rage's controversy would follow briefly after an unexpected...
Yeah. Oh, there is that shoe. That shoe and YMS. Holy, Matt Jarbo in the back, or also known as Mundane Matt. Right there at the table, you got Billy the Fridge. So, just
back to
wait, that's Shoe and that's Armored Skeptic. The world's worst centrist.
The optimistic VidCon appearance by many of the recognizable figures from this politically interested intersection of YouTube. This was undoubtedly an exciting time both for the audience and the creators themselves, but what made it unexpected was the strange allegiance that had seemingly formed during the event between bitter rivals. Andy Warski and Francesca Ramsey met in the flesh to discuss everything that had transpired between them in the 9 months prior. The meeting was reportedly a success, leading Andy to publish a video titled "Bridging the Gap" at VidCon.
To Francesca, to Riley, Ash Hardell, and a bunch of these SJWs, I know we have gone really fucking hard. There's comedy purposes, we hurt your feelings, and I apologize for hurting your feelings. We weren't really thinking about them as people. We were thinking them as...
that's the thing. It's like everyone thought he was going to grow. He was so close to having a moment.
figureheads for shit we disagree with.
A response from Francesca Ramsey herself, sporting a heart from Andy Warski, reading, "The world is fucking ending,"
Yep.
still pinned at the top of the comment section to this day. Only days after that heartwarming exchange between the two formal enemies, the aforementioned Rage After Storm published a video which would rock this small corner of content creation down to its foundations. Rage's video, titled "Race is Real," was published sometime between June 27th and June 20th.
Race realism, ladies and gentlemen. Race realism. I mean, if I'm having a discussion with somebody, and like one of the first things they try and inject is race realism, that's usually, just the end. Everybody, I guess.
8th. The exact date is unclear since Rage After Storm would delete her entire content catalog following the response to her video, only to delete her online presence altogether.
Yep.
For that. Rage's video propagated race realism, the idea that racism can be quantified and justified through empirical scientific means. The blowback was harsh.
Yeah, it's the Stefan Molyneux bell curve bullshit given name. And like she just a fucking peer. Which is funny because now our problem is they people come out this way and then they don't leave. So in the end, it's like what were the anti-SJWs with complaining about like cancellation and shit? She's the one who said the horrible shit then left. No one asked her to. Because nowadays, if we had the ability to tell people to leave after they pull this shit, we'd do it, but we don't.
And swift from both viewers and content creators alike. Andy Warski hosted a stream with fellow creators and friends of the Warski Live show, such as Kraut T, Jeff Holiday, Some Black Guy, and Kisara Vera, who, like Rage, no longer has an online presence. They took the contentious creator to task on her questionable ideas and her highly suspect sources.
Yeah, Kraut probably... We're going to get into Kraut more and more here.
The stream lasting a total of 2 hours in length. Interestingly enough, the Warskis were also met with intense blowback. This controversy with Rage After Storm's video, along with the issue of race realism, is important because of the following reasons. 1. Andy's channel had become an intersection for content creators throughout an entire genre. It was necessary for him to address this questionable turn of ideology among the previous guests on.
Sound familiar to anyone with somebody who platforms now? Just saying.
Warski Live. It is important to note who he called upon to come to his aid when it was time to take Rage After Storm to task, as these were, at the time, trusted confidants who would later become bitter enemies. Number 2, the issue of race realism was not an open and shut case, evident by the negative reception Andy's viewership had to his ensemble livestream attempting to rebut Rage's video. That's where
this is where he shook hands with the devil.
Particular topic of debate would encroach upon the community at large, forcing Andy to confront it yet again in the months that followed.
You need the blood ritual from the devil to keep him alive forever.
Again, a noticeable drop in Andy's viewership followed, with one video garnering just over 5,000 views, a measly number in comparison to the videos surrounding it. At this point, the chapter in Andy's story is reaching an end, one which Andy himself was clearly aware of. You'll notice a livestream hosted on July 12, 2017, in which Warski responds directly to a podcast by enemy turned friend turned enemy again, Francesca Ramsey, in which she disparages Andy Warski, destroying what goodwill they had developed during their meeting at VidCon only weeks prior. On July 21st and July 24th, Andy Warski publishes the last Riley J. Dennis video and the end of the Franny Saga Betrayal, respectively. The videos performed...
Yeah, no, like, fucking it was pretty... Oof.
fairly well, particularly the one regarding Francesca Ramsey's betrayal of Andy's trust, but they mark a visible end to an era. Nothing that the Warskis published following the story of Francesca...
That's what I mean, where I wasn't following really Warski at the time, but I was following, like, Jeff Holiday and stuff at the time, mostly. Jeff, not Some Black Guy, Kraut a little bit. Kraut doesn't even do anything, like, his content's changed entirely. I mean, we'll find out why, I think, but...
Francesca's betrayal will ever perform as well as Andy's videos used to. Most videos fail to garner more than 50,000 views, with others struggling to garner more than 15,000. The Warskis published some strange and out-of-place sponsored videos, peddling in addictive mobile games and cryptocurrencies as well. But where this story takes its first major turn follows a small, meager video, which Andy published on November 22nd, 2017, titled Kilroy Free Speech Event. This is gonna be great. And it would be, but not in the way that anyone would have expected.
Yeah. The rise of Warski Live, ladies and gentlemen.
Dave Cullen of the Computing Forever YouTube channel formally announced the Kilroy free speech.
Also, white nationalist and got God-pilled after being a skeptic for years because he's a white nationalist. He started believing in that because he considers it like the most Western shit ever. It's fucking insane.
Event from the home of this woman, former YouTuber Based Mama. If you try to visit the official Kilroy event webpage, you will be confronted with this image. If you try and visit Based Mama's own YouTube channel, you will find that it no longer exists.
Yes.
The center of these dire outcomes was Andy Warski and his...
Yeah, she ended up involved in the whole Joy Sparkle I'm gonna say his name, but he's not involved directly on Nerd City with the whole Daddy 05 shit when that all leaked and got exposed. And Phil DeFranco, obviously, but like Joy Sparkle and fucking Based Mama were actually trying to work on the inside, getting the kids out and shit. It was fucking wild.
His crusade against the political intersection he helped build on his channel. It was on November 16th, 2017, that Dave Cullen finally launched the crowdfunding campaign for the event. You'll notice enthusiastic responses from Blair White and Andy Warski in the comments. Andy Warski's own video regarding the event had one enthusiastic fan claim to have spent $150 on the convention.
Jesus.
The event raised upwards of $85,000 after advertising the appearances of several high-profile YouTubers and political figures, but things would quickly fall apart soon after, beginning with the withdrawal of independent journalist Tim Pool from the speaking roster.
Yesterday, I announced that I will not be speaking.
Yeah. When Tim fucking Pool won't. Also now you know a little bit more about Tim Pool. But if Tim Pool won't go to your free speech event, you probably done fucked up. Because this is before he was really the kind of personality he is now. He didn't have Timcast really going or anything to the degree it is now. So.
At the Kilroy event any longer. For those who aren't familiar, the Kilroy event is a free speech conference happening in Phoenix, Arizona next April. I was asked to sign a 16-month non-compete agreement and a 3-year non-disclosure agreement in order to participate in this event.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Those contracts very strange. I have a speaking agent. I have numerous contracts for United Talent. I speak at events all the time. In fact,
he does.
In New York, I'm speaking at an event on
It's horrible.
This is not standard.
Confessing to all its crimes.
Lauren Southern followed suit, stating that she would only attend as a guest if the contracts remained as they were. James Alsop would be next to leave the event, citing Based Mama's refusal to include his favorite topic as a panel during the convention. Faith Goldie would drop out one day after that.
Oh God!
The event was falling apart as more.
Oh God! I forgot about Faith Goldie. Oh, the horror! The horror! Faith Goldie. Oh. Far-right white nationalist political commentator. Yep. God. She's still doing anything? Oh, municipal politics. Oh, yeah, they wouldn't air radio ads. Oh, wow, the forced removal of illegal immigrants, like, just insanely fucking racist lunatic. Yeah. Yep. No, she, like, Rebel Media, that was it. That was who she worked for. Yeah. If you know anything about Rebel Media, it kind of is self-explanatory, I guess.
Who were originally booked to host panels throughout the conference separated themselves from what was becoming a logistical disaster. Unreasonable contracts aside, part of the reason why the Kilroy free speech event managed to find its funding in the first place was due to the attached YouTube personalities who were booked to appear at the convention. The money was acquired, but the personalities were lost, causing a flurry of angry backers issuing refunds from the event organizers. Intermingled in this growing controversy was yet another festering in the digital space. YouTuber Kraut & T, who Andy Warski called upon in order to address Rage After Storm's racist real video, had been operating a Discord server dedicated to connecting content creators interested in debating the alt-right with qualified academics. It was later discovered that the server was being used by a few individuals as a means to...
Kraut didn't, as far as I've looked into, Kraut didn't, and Jeff Holiday was in it, didn't directly participate in any doxing. It was just on the server, and I do not know to what aware they ever knew what exactly was going on with that. but he was originally just trying to get people to debate the alt-right. That was the goal. I have no idea how it turned into this.
Collect the private information of creators who might be within or associated with the alt-right or race realism. The crowd had also been called into question for contacting Kipper Central, a pro-UKIP blog that Rage After Storm, who listed herself as Alison Peed, wrote for, in regards to her many examples of anti-Semitic and anti-black bigotry, as well as her support of race realism. All of this rushed to the forefront of the counter-progressive sphere of YouTube at once, and at the center of it all was Andy Warski, whose channel had become, whether it was his intention or not, the central nervous system of nearly every notable content creator in that particular genre. Over the 2 weeks that followed, Andy Warski would launch a fruitful, yet ultimately ill-fated streaming career, but he would have to make a blood sacrifice first. He would turn his ire from progressive content creators like Riley Dennis and Francesca Ramsey towards the community that he himself had worked to build. Crowd and Tea was the first casualty after 2 streams were hosted by Andy Warski on
the man who the first victim of blood sports, even if you don't realize it, if you don't see it as I guess he really was. He was the first victim of it, I would say.
Subject of his actions against Rage After Storm and his Discord server, which had played host to a doxing operation. Parts 1 and 2 of these streams, which totaled a runtime of almost 6.5 hours, were hosted only days apart on December 15th and 18th, 2017, respectively. A conclusion stream was hosted the following day, which focused primarily on the Kilroy event, but Kraut's actions were discussed briefly once again. The next casualty was Jeff Holiday, who you'll remember was another YouTuber who Andy Warski called upon to take Rage After Storm to task on her racist real video. Jeff drew the ire of Warski and his audience due to his attachment to Kraut's Discord server. Andy had this much to say about a man who, at this point, he considered a friend.
And with, I want to comment on my buddy Jeff, because he got shit on a lot throughout the chat. And I know Jeff, I'm assuming that he's probably pissed at me, and angry that this all came out. But, it's almost if you don't like someone, it's easy to be like, oh, you fucking moron, you're an idiot, blah, 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 right? But it's harder when it's your friend. You kind of look at them and go, hey, man, what are you doing? And I'm sure he feels mad regret, and I'm glad he does. I still love the guy. He's still my buddy, and I hope we can all move on from here.
Within a week, Andy Warski and Jeff Holiday would have a public falling out on Twitter, in which Andy Warski says to his former friend, after you using SJW tactics to take down ideas on a server to find dirt on people and release their personal information, after lying to me twice, after laughing about it, and with all that being a douche about everything, I will take that fuck you. It's worth more than you. The following day, Andy Warski would upload an unedited, unscripted 16-minute video titled, I am done.
Yeah, that whole thing was a fucking nuclear fucking bomb to the whole scene. In a way, it kind of gave birth to everything around it, though. The deformed mutants that were the IBS community. But that's the thing. It's I think everyone gave these people a lot more slack than they deserved on a lot of things because everything here was new. A doxing server was kind of a new thing in that space. A lot of this stuff, like doing this live long-form content, was completely unheard of until these guys started doing it. So you gotta understand they were given slack that you'd never get today. And that's what made it fester even more.
With Kilroy, in which he decisively denounces both the event and Based Mama, who would delete her digital presence as a response to the growing anger, resulting in yet another casualty. The community was fractured, personal and professional associations had been destroyed, and Andy Warski had officially launched his live stream career. This flurry of streams regarding public attacks on former friends and decisive denouncements against Kilroy was concluded with a stream titled Rage Was Right. In an unexpected turn of irony, Andy's opinions on race realism shifted to conform with those of the publicly shamed Rage After Storm.
Yeah, here's where he becomes the ethno-nationalist.
6 months after he had gathered close friends and confidants to bolster an effort to condemn the young woman, Andy Warski had vindicated her, severing ties with those former friends and an entire community he had so evegerly helped to build. But this only marked the beginning of the rise of Warski Live. Race realism was...
Yeah, even in the anti-SJW sphere, race realism was too far to a lot of these guys. Yeah, that should tell you something.
would come to dominate the public zeitgeist, which was largely due to Andy Warski's new co-host, JF Garievi. JF is not an entirely new figure in this particular...
JF, ethno-nationalist Frenchman, abused an autistic girl, just fucking horrendous piece of shit.
...the genre of YouTube.
But that's who you pick up as co-host when you are Andy Warski, apparently.
For the events that transpired surrounding Kilroy and Crown T, JF was a frequent guest on the Drunken Peasants podcast, and he made a few appearances on Andy Warski's channel as well.
Yeah. And Drunken Peasants, I've listened to for years. I still occasionally do. Now like Vosh ends up on there and shit, so what the... things have changed. But it's... like, I remember because Vosh talked to Ethan Ralph and shit on there, but it's like, it was a network for bizarre conversations. It was a freak show style podcast. That's the only way I can describe it. It operated like a fucking freak show. So, of course you're gonna, like, it was freak shows mixed with Jerry Springer. So...
PhD in neuroscience from Duke University, boasting an undeniably impressive 447 citations. However, his reputation is marred with controversy beyond his political views. An advocate for race realism, Gariepi's contention was and continues to be that there is no distinction between nature and nurture, that cultural impact is, in actuality, entirely biological, and that nature...
Yeah, basically, he believes that historical precedent does not affect us at all, basically. Or historical things that happen to us. The past doesn't matter at all. He looks so... He is so fucking fixated on his Nazi utopia that he doesn't even understand that past things really affect the present.
Nations should be defined by those ethnic differences. Controversial as those propositions are, he also stood accused of some damning crimes, such as completely losing a child custody case to his third wife after she presented evidence to a family court that Gariepi was plotting to kidnap their newborn child. In addition, he became involved with an autistic teenage woman who had the social and mental maturity of a 10 or 11-year-old child, according to the writings of a counselor involved in the state of Texas court proceedings.
Also, somehow, the latest girlfriend I saw is even scarier than he is, though.
Separating JF and the young woman. Unperturbed by the reputation he had acquired during his brief tenure in public life, JF pressed onward.
Also, the reason he is such a good debater is, he's always had to be king of the weasel words, so he usually, he has a really good, because he operates on YouTube and usually does not get any problems from them. And not even in the Steven Crowder-like way, in the way that he's good enough at weasel wording to never cross the line. And it's kind of like, so you get him on anything, he's just going to weasel in ways that you cannot foresee. It's one of those where he is skilled at it while being so fucking wrong. It's frustrating. Like, you get great debates to watch out of it, but incredibly frustrating. Just a fucking lunatic.
Finding himself in the strange position of being Andy Warski's new live co-host. Meanwhile, Chris, who had been a staple on Andy's channel from the earliest comedy skits to the 2016 viral explosion, would disappear.
Yes, Chris, the Asian friend, leaves after the race realism stuff starts popping off. Interesting.
Into the background, reportedly working on logistics behind the scenes. In addition to these massive partnerships in Andy's career and social circle, another channel existing in the same vein of Andy Warski would rise swiftly into stardom. Two YouTubers by the names of Failure and Tongasaw had been hosting a live show called The Morning Kumite. Andy had this much to say about them in the heat of the Kraut and Kilroy controversy.
Very happy for my friend Tongasaw. He's getting only 50 people per show watching, and now he's getting about 300 to 400 per show watching.
In time, Failure and Tonkasaw would gain more than a few hundred listeners during their YouTube morning.
I do have to say, I hate the Kumite and everything about it, except the visual design. There's something about it that just speaks to me. That whole literal, like, to me, it's like, it looks like something I would think a Zoomer would do. But no, it's from this period. It's very strange.
Show. The Morning Kumite would entertain several thousand concurrent viewers every day, a sign of the rising popularity of the genre meant to replace the anti-liberal, anti-progressive sphere of YouTube. This genre was called Internet Blood Sports. So Mr. Medeker, an internet historian and prominent figure in the genre of Internet Blood Sports.
Medeker is a weird one because he's like, if you want to talk competency as a commentator, he's one of the best. When it comes to opinions and the way he talks and as a human being, I think he's a piece of shit. But I can't, like, he's actually skilled, which is fucking terrifying. Like, that's something I think a lot of people in the left sphere don't realize is a lot of these guys were actually hyper competent. And that is a problem. Like, they were not going to slow down without some sort of thing stopping them, except themselves. And most of them had no will to stop until, the moment.
Who made frequent live appearances both on Warski's channel during the fracturing of the community.
I also have no idea where Failure ended up, or Tonkasaw, but Tonkasaw is, you'll see.
As well as during Failure and Tonkasaw's Morning Kumite live show, explains the genre as follows.
It's a format, an outgrowth of the typical YouTube streams that have existed for a long, long time. Instead of the erudite, pedantic, highbrow, intellectual debate between two opposing forces who bore you to sleep and act like a living version of Ambien, Internet Blood Sports and...
Yeah, basically, all the new... It's basically the most junk food content on Earth, and yes, I watched it, and what should I apologize? I never donated jack shit. So, but.
That seeks to entertain you. It is the Jerry Springer of YouTube content.
See?
So begins the peak of Andy Warski's career on the internet. With the turn of the new year and the bitterness of 2017 behind him, Andy would march forward, old labels shed and new friends in tow.
Hell, it's not even Jerry Springer. Like, I can't even think of who. Nowadays, there's just so many fucking... In a way, it's closer to Dr. Phil, considering it's life ruinous.
You can actually pinpoint the moment that Andy reaches the apex of his upward trajectory. This pivotal moment arrived on the 4th of January, 2018.
Oh yeah, baby!
Titled Richard Spencer's Sticks.
Oh yeah. You think me pressing the thing that said the Nazi thing before was foreshadowing? Really? Like, really? Come on! Come on! Come on. But Richard Spencer was the living definition to me of respectability politics. That's all he cared about on the outside. And on the inside, he just wanted to say the most horrific shit in the world. If you know his quotes, I'm not going to say them out loud. And not even for TOS, because I don't want to fucking say them. Like, that's not even a limitation of that.
Have a chat. Andy and JF moderate. For
of course, Sargon's there.
Warski Live was the #1 stream on YouTube. The figures attached to the stream were heavyweights in the world of fringe political discussion, and they battled over white identity, the establishment of an ethnic state, and race realism. The money...
Yeah, the Ethno Avengers. The Ethno Avengers!
flowed freely into Andy Warski's channel, with some viewers donating in the hundreds. In all of his time on YouTube, working tirelessly and thanklessly for some recognition, Andy had never experienced joy like this.
May I bring something up just real fast? I'll go through some more questions, but Rachel Cooper...
Can I get to this? Because this is the thing, right?
Wait, I'm going to say one thing. Just hold your thought. Rachel Cooper just threw £5. We are #2 worldwide trending on YouTube right now with 11,200 viewers.
Yes.
Guys, 2 worldwide. Come on. Hit like, by the way. This is great conversation.
See what I mean? Also, Andy thought he was a mediator. Andy's never been a mediator, and everyone knew it except Andy.
I'm really enjoying this. Okay, with that being said, I just want to let everyone know that everyone who has been a participant in today's chat, I will contact you all individually, and I will be throwing you some money since today was very lucrative, and I want to help spread the wealth for you guys making a...
Yeah, like he had like normal human instincts in weird points too, like this. It's like, huh?
A fantastic show. All right, so I'll talk to you all individually. So I want everyone to know all donations that have been made today. I'm going to be very generous to the guests because they deserve it for such an entertaining show and helping us make #2 and 1 worldwide. So thank you everyone for that.
You would never experience it again. Even now, you can watch that stream at will. It's currently sitting at just under 600,000 views, a monumental achievement for an independent content creator using little more than a microphone and Google's Hangouts feature. Still, Internet Bloodsports would not wait and the show had to go on. Andy Warski would continue.
Yep. Oh God, I remember Hangouts. Feels like forever ago. It had so many issues though, weird issues. Zoom is a lot better, and Discord is great too. So it's not like it didn't get replaced by good shit.
Continue his nightly streams, inviting anyone who would be willing to participate, but having a clear propensity for the alt-right, race realists, and white identitarians such as James Alsop and Terry McCarthy, and obviously his own co-host. In the mornings, Takusa and Failure would dominate the airwaves, their morning kumite serving as an unabashed...
Yeah, the satanic minister from wrestling, Sinister Minister, fucking A, man. He was really good in the Chris Canyon episode of Dark Side of the Ring. He really, you could tell he cared.
Platform for heated argument and brutality, leaving the politics for Gariepi in the evening hour. Even Baked Alaska, who you might remember from my Milo Yiannopoulos video, he managed Milo's tour across American universities, would step into the fray of internet blood sports, and he would do so rather successfully. He began...
Oh yeah, his success is unexplainable. Alaska is he is failed upward in the weirdest ways.
With the livestream featuring Mr. Medicare only one night after Andy Warski's historic livestream with Richard Spencer. Baked Alaska's premiere garnered 64,000 views, cementing him as yet another notable figure in the...
Yeah, right there. Versus Destiny, and Medicare was the fucking... Oh, God.
growing genre.
I mean, right now, Destiny has been a fucking lunatic lately, and you have to understand this. Of course, he fell apart into a lunatic. Look at the stock. You know? Look at the past here. The man has been fucking shoving, basically shards of glass into his brain for years trying to fight these guys. That guy, no wonder he is a fucking lunatic. And not in the good way, not even the fun lunatic way. I mean in the worst ways possible. His opinions are warped to no fucking end.
Of internet blood sports. He, too, would host Richard Spencer for a debate. It was becoming clear that fringe political ideas and the budding world of internet blood sports were inexorably tied as the alt-right's appearances on these shows grew more frequent and more prominent. For a time, things were good. Internet blood sports had usurped the space that the anti-liberal genre had once occupied, and all of Andy's friends and associates, Baked Alaska, Failure, and Tonkasaw, were successfully operating the machine. This was a costly machine, however. It demanded new blood to be spilled at rates that were beginning to look unsustainable. Andy had previously sacrificed friends and associations to the content mill, if you'll remember Crown T and Jeff Holiday, among many others. The need for blood was incessant and inescapable. Sargon of Akkad himself, who had participated in Andy's gargantuan livestream at the beginning of 2018, became public enemy to the internet blood sports community. Sargon publicly announced his intention to become a political activist, coining the term liberalist as his self-appointed
Oh yeah, he's liberalist to UKIP to a failure on rape jokes. And I mean, really bad. It wasn't even a joke. It was just the worst thing you could think of. That's not a fucking joke. That's not even humor. That's not even trying.
label, which prompted Andy to do the following.
It said, does Sargon own the trademark? And I went, oh, I'm going to buy the trademark. And everyone's like, no way you're going to do it. I literally went live on Kumite. I went on speakerphone, and I called Chris and went, do it. And now I have the email. We are now in the running for owning the word liberalist.
To my understanding, he was successful in securing the trademark. Sargon had originally appeared on the Warski show for a full interview on the 30th of June, 2017.
We got Sargon of Akkad. What's up, man?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Great. Yo, dude, that week, fantastic to meet you and everyone. What a week we had.
Yeah, it was really, really nice meeting everyone. It really was. Everyone was just fucking lovely.
Yeah.
Matt Jarbo, or Mundane Matt, was another figure who Andy publicly berated in February.
I'm sorry, if everyone hates you, maybe it's not everyone. Maybe it's you. I did turn on him because he was an asshole.
Jarbo would become a recurring source of fodder for the Morning Kumite until Mr. Medicare would produce a long-form video cataloging his tragic story, which ultimately ended in Jarbo being forced to admit to falsely flagging content critical of him.
Yeah, it was
Medicre's video
insane.
has gotten over 1.1 million views to date. Monday Matt appeared on Warski's live show for a full interview on the 1st of June.
Please tell me it's not.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emmett, I think I'm real, and you're watching another installment of Internet Explorer. Now I understand that we're trading old ground today. We've done Andy Warski before.
Okay, where were we? That's Rage After Storms shit.
fantastic show. All right, so I'll talk to you all individually. So I want.
Had to go on. Andy Warski would continue his nightly streams, inviting anyone who would be willing to participate. Well, it's currently sitting at just under 600,000 views, a monument
For such an entertaining show and helping us.
Andy's gargantuan live stream at the beginning of 2018 became public enemy to the internet blood sports community. Sargon publicly announced his intention to become a political
Sargon owned the trademark, and I went, oh, and went, do it. Up, man.
Hey man, how's it going?
Great, yo, dude.
in late February.
I'm sorry if everyone hates you. Maybe it's not everyone. Maybe
It's you.
I did turn on him because he was an asshole.
Jarbo would become a recurring source of fodder for the morning Kumite until Mr. Medicare would produce a long-form video cataloging his tragic story, which ultimately ended in Jarbo being forced to admit to falsely flagging content critical of him. Medicare's video has garnered over 1.1 million views to date. Monday, Matt appeared on...
I don't even know if Medicare's original YouTube channel is still even going, because like he's got fucking obliterated a couple times.
Warski's live show for a full interview on the 1st of June 2017. To the content creators at the helm of internet blood sports and to the audience consuming it, the next chicken on the chopping block was of little importance. The only objective was to spill more blood, as it were. What few suspected, however, was for the next victim to come from within the community. Still, the viewers were as ravenous as ever, and mercy was the last thing on anyone's mind. But just like the fracturing of the anti-SJW community that transpired towards the end of 2017, internet blood sports would suffer a similar fate, only this time, Andy Warski would not walk away unscathed. And that's a wrap on part 1. Thank you so much for watching. We got one more part incoming. It's going to wrap up the story. As I said, we're ending on the highest point for Andy Warski's career. The rest of it is going to be all downhill, so you're going to really get to watch a man lose his mind on camera, archived on the internet. If you like the video, if you think you might like Internet Explorer, and you're watching it.
Shh. Why do you do this? Why, Chrome? Why are you so shit?
Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emmett. I think I'm real, and you're watching another installment of Internet Explorer. And you're watching another installment of Internet Explorer. I should do it like that. Today's episode is part 2 of the entire story of Andy Warski's life. I'm actually leaving a lot of stuff out, so I'm sorry about doing that, but I had to truncate things. It was just getting too long, but today we're going to get to enjoy watching a man spiral into insanity, destroy his own career, one terrible decision at a time. And you're gonna get to watch an entire other genre of YouTube, right? Last time it was the anti-SJW genre. This time it's the internet blood sports genre, completely dissolve, all at the hands of Andy Warski. And things end really, really badly. At the end of the day, this is a tragedy, so buckle up, get ready, and enjoy part 2 of Internet Explorer, Andy Warski. On March 15th, 2018, Andy Warski and Baked Alaska, two of the most noteworthy figures in the IBS community, met up with an IRL streamer.
Yeah, that's Asian Andy, I think.
By the name of Asian Andy.
That's Asian
Andy. A stream titled IRL Blood.
So Asian Andy, and the term Andy for Twitch comes from Andy Milanakis, and because he showed up in randomly at one of Ice Poseidon's streams, and so everybody else who's become a streamer after or during or after meeting Ice has been called an Andy, and by their race for reasons I'm not entirely sure. So Arab Andy, Asian Andy, Mexican Andy. So
blood sports. IRL means in real life for the uninitiated. For the 5 hours that followed, Asian Andy, Andy Warski, and Baked Alaska would wander through Los Angeles, provoking the locals for content. A text-to-speech feature that viewers could donate money to.
It was the worst.
Absolutely anything the donor would write, which was then broadcast on a double.
No, why? I'm. Oh, that's from sorry. That's from a discussion I was having with somebody on a different thing. I'm sorry. I did not. I didn't change out tags when I streamed. I apologize. That's from a different discussion I had. Yeah, that was, oh, fuck no. No. The video series I was doing was on making fun of TERFs. So no, not at all. Sorry. No, that's what it had to do with. I was going over TERF videos and yelling at them. Honestly, this is just how I am. I have no other answer for you. I do get nervous in general. Like, that's just how I don't have any, or I would, but this is seriously... I am both bipolar and autistic, so I got a lot of issues with that kind of thing, like interacting with people. So, sorry about that, I guess. Where was I? Yeah, no, I was yelling at Michael Knowles, I remember. I'm not what you would call a chill streamer of any note, just not a chill person. Where was it? There it was.
Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to...
I've also been having technical issues all stream.
I think I'm real, and you're watching another installment of Internet Explorer. And you're watching another installment.
Where was I?
The IBS community met up with an IRL streamer by the name of Asian Andy for a stream titled IRL Bloodsports. IRL means in real life for the uninitiated. For the 5 hours that followed, Asian Andy, Andy Warski, and Big Alaska would wander through Los Angeles provoking the locals for content. A text-to-speech feature that viewers could donate money to would read aloud absolutely anything the donor would write, which was then broadcast on a double speaker that Asian Andy wore on his person. During a stroll through UCLA...
Yeah, this was a whole fucking thing with the TTS outside, but before, like, they would not have any functionality to not say it. It was insane.
The three YouTubers walked among a crowd of students and...
If I remember correctly, Arab Andy actually got... Yeah, I think it was detained or at least arrested because he actually he had an alarm or something warning about a bomb go off on his TTS, and it just literally made everyone think there was a bomb. It was insane.
And had the following interactions.
I mean, why do we make more money?
So
yeah, it makes no sense.
Sexism is
77 cents to $1.
I mean,
it's
yeah,
tough.
We hold hands, we make love, we steal women.
So you guys work
You
hard,
go
huh?
next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe in women. I believe in the power of women.
Honestly, I'm just a walking, talking, coming machine, if I'm being...
Oh, you just smell the chauvinism.
I'm only needed for semen. Then girls can do the rest, if I'm being honest. That's awesome.
What are those two brown bitches doing outside of the kitchen?
Yeah, this was a whole goddamn nightmare era. Ugh.
I'm sorry.
Like, Ice did so much, like, on the platform, but his his shit was insane. Like, this isn't Ice himself, but I mean, like, his ideas and, like, actually, like, having people just go into his place was just the most lunatic stuff ever. I would love to meet Mizkif for that reason, to ask, because he was one of Ice's cameramen.
They heard that. What the fuck? I don't know. You're killing on the speaker. You have about 2 more minutes left.
Show some respect for the 13 Jews that died in the Holocaust.
Yeah. Yeah, that came just ringing through. Just ringing through, loud as possible. The fuck? Just want to take that tag off then. All right. I mean, technically, there was also earlier in the video, in the first video, there was a lot of problems with transgender individuals, and they went after going after Cat Black and such. So.
Cool if I interview you? You could be the face of sexism or anti-sexism. Alright, have a good day, I'm sorry.
They are trash.
Enjoy your free speaker, bro. Have a good day, man. Follow me, Asian Andy, on YouTube, man.
You're supposed to be getting this nigger a grill, not HIV.
Yeah. Yeah, let's, I think... Yeah, that's bad.
Yo, see, I am sorry for my privilege.
Hey, how's it going?
I must pay eternal.
Oh, you're a champ!
Yeah, they were talking about that, so...
T. Their interaction on the Hollywood Strip was clearly strained, as you'll see here.
Andy. It's me.
What's
hey,
up?
Guys. Oh, okay.
Dude, that's awesome.
I know you.
And Blair White's in the story, too, but, yeah.
What's up? Who is this? I'm Asian Andy. I'm a big fan of your work. The trap. I'm all up for that trap shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is how bad it was.
Yeah, I'm all about that.
White unfollowed him on Twitter. He calls her human garbage, to which Blair responds, "Keep your internet gutter channel killing drama away from me." Blair appeared on Andy's channel on several occasions throughout 2016 and 2017. They were likely friends, or at least close acquaintances, as Andy explains in this tweet responding to his public apology to Blair. Yet another friendship destroyed, and it would not be the last. Decency aside, the IRL Bloodsport stream was assuredly a financial success for Asian Andy, but this was likely an even bigger success for Baked Alaska, who had faded into relative obscurity after the momentum of the general election had finally waned and Milo's tour
And also, never, ever listen to his music.
came to an end. Unfortunately, the good graces of the internet blood sports community were fickle, as Baked Alaska was soon to discover, because it would be his head to be next on the chopping block. As succinctly as I can possibly summarize the situation, Baked Alaska hosted a stream in which he demanded that his increasingly alt-right audience curb their toxicity in his chat, most likely to get into the good graces of this girl, Erin, who is entirely unimportant to the story. The original stream has been removed by Baked Alaska, but here are Andy Warski and JF Gariepi summarizing the community's turn against him.
What happened was, he pulls out last night one of the worst thing. I was yelling, Baked, don't do it, don't. He said, stop with the toxicity in the chat. As in,
okay,
let's all be nice here. We're supposed to be kind. Dude, it's banned.
Baked is not going to be able emotionally to cope with the demand of an alt-right audience, and he's going to crack. I didn't know that it would blow as spectacularly as this.
And as the community had with so many others, they set their sights on Baked Alaska, dragging his public image through the mud and ravenously drawing as much blood as possible until yet again he was forced to fade into obscurity. The next victim would be closer to home for Andy Warski.
Hello everyone and welcome. Just 1 minute ago, I have quit Warski Live.
During a regularly scheduled debate, Andy Warski spoke while JF was making a point against his opponent, prompting Gariepi to respond to his co-host like this.
Andy, this is important. I'm not determined low IQ interventions. Andy, so you shut the fuck up for 1 minute.
Okay, fine, fuck, man.
So
all right.
This is a classical argument of the form of Stefan Molyneux, which is you engage in discussion, therefore you accept all the rules of discussion. I didn't. I don't. I'm just a human being. I emit noise. There are other beings. They interpret this noise based on their own rules. Andy, you can go ahead.
Why do you have to be a dick like that? I was going to ask one question that was part of this.
I was kidding, Andy.
The original stream is no longer available to watch, but this particular instance alone is not the reason for the fallout that would follow. It was, however, the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. Andy would confess, as we'll see, that he felt like a stranger on his own show during his run with Gariepi as his co-host. It was clear that all was not well on Andy Warski's channel. For the better part of a year, Andy had Chris beside him to help him operate his business. It was a cooperative relationship, plainly evident by the fact that they would almost never appear on screen without each other. For JF, his relationship to Andy was purely a means to an end, a platform upon which he could express his fringe political opinions and bolster his alt-right audience. Documents from Gariepi.
Yeah, that girlfriend is like done graffiti and shit like that and like obsessed. It was really, it's some really disturbing shit.
His family court case say this about the enigmatic neuroscientist. His struggles with understanding others results in a lack of empathy regarding others, and that he finds it near impossible to take the perspective of another. Andy aired his grievance.
Yeah, like that to an extreme that I can't even really explain.
To Gariepi.
Like, I'm autistic. I have a hard time with that shit. I understand that. The way he doesn't understand, it has to be willful in a lot of cases to make any sense, because you can see him supposedly learning certain lessons again and again, and then not applying them. It's just so bizarre. Like, he is the pure conservative brain, in my opinion. Just no information from the outside,